Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this is the Warrior Alpha QX and Alpha QX Pro glove review. So first off, thanks to Warrior for sending me these gloves for Warrior VIP and to do a bunch of videos on them. Now this review is going to be combined between the two because they're pretty similar gloves. There are obviously a few differences. I go over them in a video, which I'll put up right over here, and it will be in the description as well. So check that out if you have any questions between the two. Now these are a size 15 and these are a size 14. Again, I wanted to do a size comparison before, so I got two different sizes. But I'll now go on to the review itself and just talk about them and what I like about them, what I don't like about them. So let's begin. The idea behind these Warrior Alpha gloves was to make the most comfortable and broken in 4-roll glove off the shelf that there is. I think Warrior succeeded there. These are the most broken in and softest glove like off the shelf from what I felt, or if they're not, they're extremely close. The fingers have crazy dexterity. The backhand bends wonderfully. I mean, you can do this to it and the whole thing just bends like great. I always like to just do this and flop my hands in to see how much it bends, and that's the result. So it's pretty awesome. So Warrior definitely succeeded in that sense for both of these gloves. They're both extremely comfortable in the box. They feel fantastic. Now, a thing Warrior is known for is their old pro stock gloves that were made in Canada, specifically the franchises. You put those on, they were unbelievably comfortable. Nothing else felt nearly as good as that. These, I think, have hit that goal of comfort. Like, these feel as nice on my hands as those pro stock Warrior gloves, like the made in Canada ones that everyone sought after, in the pro stock community. Warrior did an amazing job with these. I give them full credit. The dexterity and mobility of these gloves is fantastic. Now, Warrior also talked about kind of being a tapered fit and being less boxy than a traditional 4-roll. One of that was how the angled rolls are. As you can see, smaller, bigger. Now, I have to say, I don't think these are much smaller than a traditional 4-roll. In fact, I think they're pretty close. The 15s on me, honestly, when I play, just feel too sloppy. There's too much movement here. It's not on my hand enough. The length is okay, but it's just too sloppy on my hands. I prefer wearing the 14s. With that said, the 14s are too short on the fingertips. As you can see how my finger is past the protection there. Basically, my fingers are too long for 14, but the 14s feel great in my backhand and on my fingers itself. This one, the fingers do feel loose, but the backhand is my real problem. And the other problem is when I'm playing, this right here just feels like it's a lot of loose and extra material. Not that there is, but because the glove fits fits big still, it still feels a little bit large for me, and it kind of feels cumbersome and that they're not always on my hand right. Now, so if you are looking at these and you like a tighter fitting style glove like the QRL Pros, which these are 15s, get the 14s because I think that will fit you better or more in the sense of how you like glove fits. With that said, my problem with the 14s as well is the cuffs are short. So I am exposed from here to my elbow pad quite a bit, where this one covers it quite nicely. My elbow pad fits right under the cuff and it works out really well. So you're kind of doing a trade-off there. I always liked watching some NHL pros wear certain gloves because they always kind of look small. One person was Alexander Semin when he played on Montreal. He had really tiny gloves. And then Radulov did too. I think Galchenyuk does as well. When I wear these, my hands kind of look like that, where you can see like the exposed skin and they look like they're tight fitting because they feel great like that, but it doesn't have the length on the top that I would want and the length on the fingers that I would want. Again, so I said mobility is great on these. The feel and comfort is fantastic. They do feel a little bit hot. The pros kind of feel a little bit hot. They don't have stretch gussets or vented gussets, whereas the pros do have the stretch gussets, which help a bit there, but they're nothing too bad. I always said that these QRLs also got a bit hot, and I think that kind of just transitions over here because of like just the gussets. And these ones, just because they're so big, there isn't any venting on the inside like on the QRL Pros. It's just straight material. These QRLs don't have venting either, but the QRLs do, the QRL Pros don't. So there's venting on the inside of that. Now, for the palms, between these two gloves, I actually prefer the Pro Palm, which is the one on this, just the ivory Nash-like material. I don't really feel the advantages to the black grip. This does look a bit warm, but that's actually because I lent these gloves out to people with tape. Where I use Tacky Mac or butt ends, I try a bunch of those. I don't use actual tape. This is from people using these gloves with tape. These ones have always been used with Tacky Mac or with like the tape alternatives. So the wear on these fingers is legitimate and actually from the bottom of my shaft. So this palm is kind of wearing similar to how my Warrior gloves in the past wore with this type of palm, which I wasn't too thrilled about. I think it wears, or at least shows wear, a little quicker than I'd like. I don't know if this is going to get much worse. The thing about the palm on the QRLs is it's black, so it doesn't show up as well for the wear. But if it's any indication of the material on my QRLs, that this will kind of look like that and then not get worse. And so I'm not too worried about that. So if you will use tape, maybe, but for me, where I don't use tape, everything is fine there. And just to show off my tape hand, as you can see, it's about the same. Again, no tape, Tacky Mac, butt end, stuff like that. So I'm not totally thrilled with how much this gray material wears, but I'm not totally worried about it either. Now, one of the big advertisements of the Warrior Alpha gloves in this line was the flex cuff. So let me grab the two cuffs and show it off. So Warrior has their new hybrid flex cuff, which has, try to show this off a little bit more. So as you can see, on the inside has a spandex gusset kind of between here, and the idea is the glove comes down. I'll overlay what Warrior shows. It's so it flexes with your hand. And to be honest, it doesn't move at all. So I'm trying to show the two. The QRL is a great implementation. It works well, it follows your wrist. That's the total flex cuff. Now I understand that on the Alphas, it's a hybrid version, so it's not quite as extreme, but here's how much I can move it. Like that, yes, that's kind of moving, but the glove doesn't move like that really on you. When it's actually on me, it doesn't move at all. I gotta force it, and even then, like it will do there. It doesn't really do anything. Now, if this was just for adding a bit of extra flex and no protection, then I guess Warrior did or accomplish what they were out to do. I was hoping it would add protection. So here's the 14-inch. I was really hoping this would fold back more with my hands, and it doesn't move like at all. There's your movement right there, which isn't a ton. And for me, it's a bit disappointing because I was hoping more protection, kind of like in this style. Frankly, I would love this fit of a glove in 4-roll with this. That would be really nice. I know you can't get everything you want, but I just thought if that was the point of the flex cuff, would have been a good feature. Now, aesthetics. I like both gloves, to be completely honest. I like the leather features on here. I think they're not too overstated and crazy, especially with this single tone glove. The Montreal colorway here is fantastic on the Pro. Now I know you can get this in Pittsburgh Penguins with black with the white. I think that looks great as well. I like the whatever these are. I'm not sure. I can't remember what they're called. I think it looks good. Again, I like the use of the different materials. I don't think it's too overstated and crazy looking. I think it looks pretty decent. The text on here looks a little bit better than the window, but again, it's subjective. I think Warrior did a good job on these gloves. They're instantly noticeable, while I don't think being too over the top. So I'm a fan of that. And now onto protection. Now I did a protection test with a mini stick to see how these gloves fared up. So please check that out. It'll show up in the corner here, be at the end of the video and in the description. But again, please check that out. When a company sets out to make the most broken in feeling and soft gloves on the market, like right off the shelf, I feel like there has to be a compromise somewhere. And for me, I believe it's in protection, which I'll show off here. Now, please check out the video I did for the protection test where I beat the gloves with this mini stick, because I'll go into more detail all over it. But there's one glaring thing that I'm not too thrilled about on these gloves. And I feel the whole reason is to make the fingers and the backhand feel as soft as it does. Now, when this glove bends, it kind of opens up, as you can see. Now, with the mini stick, it fits right in there, fits right in there, so it can get your bare knuckles right there. There's not a ton of padding in there. And when you close your hand, it fits right in there. Now, sure, that's a mini stick, no big deal, right? Well, I can also fit a player stick in there. And now if you get hit hard enough, when your hands are bent like that, that's going right into your fingers. Player stick can kind of squish things out of the way there. Doesn't reach as much, but look how far that's in. And that's in, that's not like that's stuck in there. And then same with right here. That little bit right here isn't gonna stop that stick, and it can get right in between your fingers. Now, I firmly believe that the reason that this happens is to make this glove so soft. The fingers are kind of apart from each other. You can stick your finger right between them really easily. Now, I don't know if this is a four-roll design or just how they designed the Alpha. Now, this happens on the QX as well as the Pros. The QXs are a bit better because they have the triple segmented fingers, but it still fits in there. With the coverts, you don't have as much, like the backhand is better because of how the breaks are. And when you try to close your fingers, it doesn't really fit in as much. It does a little bit for the mini stick, and I can't really get the actual stick in. So I feel that the coverts do a better job of protection on the fingers, and that the Alphas kind of did it just to get that super soft feeling, which is to me odd because these feel great off the shelf as well, just not quite as nice as these ones do. Now, just to show another competitors, here we have Pro Stock gloves, which you can say, okay, they're Pro Stock, but for this, just to show how the fingers feel, this does not feel as nice as the Warriors. I'll be completely blunt about that. But like I can't get it nearly in like the Warrior does. And like that index isn't happening. Sorry, the middle finger and index aren't happening. You can sort of force it in there, or like right here, it doesn't really get in there. Same with the backhand. The other thing is when you stick your fingers through, it's harder and you can't really feel the top of your knuckles. Whereas with these gloves, if you stick your fingers through, you can actually feel your knuckle. Like I know I can feel me hitting the knuckle there. You can't really do that with these unless you really force it. So that's my main negative about these Warrior gloves, is that to get them so soft, specifically the Alpha gloves, not the QRLs, to get these Alpha gloves so soft out of the box, I feel like the padding on the fingers and right here were just put together a little too far apart. And as you can see, like that. And doing so kind of limited protection and made protection not as great as I would have liked. I also feel that this hybrid flex cuff, because it doesn't have any foam behind the actual cuff and where your wrist is, because of this, it's like that force gets translated directly into the glove itself or your wrist, and that's kind of disappointing as well. Whereas the QRL has the same like the spandex, but it's separated from the cuff a bit. So usually this cuff just gets pushed right into there, and you don't really feel it as much on your wrist right here, where this one transfers pretty good. The other spot is kind of the thumbs I wish were a bit beefed, and when I tested on this glove, I could get like hit right here, and that would really hurt right along the edge. That wasn't the case in the Alpha, the QX. That was much more solid. I don't know if that's a different foam or what, but the Alpha felt a bit more protective right here, whereas the Alpha Pro is a little bit less right here. That isn't to say I don't like these gloves. Now, I think protection is a little bit of the shortcoming on this, but the feel is amazing. If that's what you're going for, then these are a great fit for you. And I wouldn't tell people not to look at them. If people want to try on gloves, I always say try the Warrior Alphas. They feel amazing. For me, I won't be using this glove as one of my go-tos. In fact, when playoffs came, this was on my hands 90% of the time. I would sometimes switch to another one just when they got wet. But these are pretty limited to just easy shinny or shooting pucks in the backyard or in a rapid shot. I would take these out because I like them for that. But if I'm ever blocking shots, these won't be my go-tos. Just because there's a little things I'm not too thrilled about them, which I covered. They feel great on your hands. They're well balanced. They're not the lightest gloves in the world, but they're not super heavy either. They're butter soft smooth. They're the most comfortable glove I ever really worn, besides the Pro Stock Warriors that I've tried on before. And these probably surpass those. That's how great they feel in your hand. But for my issue is the protection's a little low, and they still fit big for their size. And the tapered 4-roll isn't totally a tapered 4-roll. It still fits like a larger sizing glove, where a 15 is too loose on me, a 14 is snug enough, but the length isn't right for me. I think Warrior made a good glove with the Alpha QX and the QX Pro. I think they made the softest, most broken and feeling glove on the market, and if that's something you're going for and you don't like to break in a lot of gloves, these are great. If you're someone like me who wants that extra protection and likes the flex cuff like this and wants that extra protection, or likes that snugger feeling glove, these probably wouldn't be for you. And I would say just look at the coverts. So hopefully this video was helpful. I'm sorry it's long. 2 gloves at once though, right? So I'm sorry it's a bit long. Hopefully it was really helpful. Leave a comment if you have one. Thank you for watching, and thanks for Warrior for selecting me to be a Warrior VIP and to check out these gloves and to talk about them and to review them. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I hate saying this stuff, but it helps me get stuff like this. Check in the description for links to those. And again, thank you very much for watching. Full review will come shortly in the written form. It will be in the description when it's done, and it's on hockeyreviews.ca. So thank you very much. And again, take it easy.